Now, while it's perfectly possible in America for a convict serving time in prison to become president of the United States, is it likely? Is it likely that somebody who is wearing an orange jumpsuit will be the commander in chief of the American forces? Yesterday, over the night, 9 justices were sitting in judgment over Trump. Some of them had been appointed by Trump. And the arguments were put forward by Trump that he had impunity. And during a 3 hour hearing, these people have been pondering the question, does Trump actually have impunity? Should Trump be facing a trial for his actions or inaction during the riot in Washington after the election of President Biden? And the president's lawyers have put forward claims that he can, in fact, a president can, in fact, have immunity, and maybe their aim is, it's a weakish argument, but if there's a divided justice opinion, which there almost certainly will be, then that will delay any sort of trial until after the election, and that may well mean that Donald Trump will only face this trial after he is president. But a conviction before the election is likely to scupper Trump's chances. Trump isn't the only president to have a cloud over his head. G.W. Bush was in trouble for the illegal war in Iraq. Barack Obama, the drone president. Nixon, the president who was found out to have lied, but got a presidential pardon after resigning. So in practice, even if not in theory, American presidents have immunity. And similarly in Britain, in practice, even if not in theory, Blair, Cameron, Johnson, and so on have walked away from some serious questions about their time in office. Ketanji Brown Jackson leads the debate in the States, and the debate is interesting. What sort of crimes could a president commit and then have immunity is probably the question. But the likelihood is, as I say, they're going to send this back to the district court, and it will delay any serious criminal court case until after the election on November the 5th. At the moment, however, in New York, David Pecker has been giving evidence. David Pecker is the National Enquirer man, and he's been talking about influencing the election, being paid hush money, paying out hush money to keep buying up stories and then sitting on them to keep mouths shut. And Michael Cohen almost certainly will, who's already been to prison for much the same stuff, will almost certainly be coming out into court and dishing the dirt on Trump. But will that lead automatically to a criminal conviction? Not necessarily. The jury may decide that this isn't, when all is considered, something that is serious enough to merit a criminal conviction. It may just be dismissed as tittle-tattle. I have no idea really the direction this is going to go, but it gets to the hub of the responsibility that the boss in our political systems must now take for the decisions made. I think this will have a sweeping impact not only on the role of the head of state in America, but also in other countries. And that brittle nod and wink, which says, well, frankly, even if it's possible to convict and charge a former president, in practice, even if we go through the motions of doing so, we're not in fact going to end up putting them in prison. That's the sort of thing that happens in the developing world. It doesn't happen in the United States or the UK. Well, I think that's going to change. And similarly in places like France and Italy, that's going to change significantly. People are going to be doing prison time and people are going to be held responsible for their acts in power. Power brings with it responsibility as well as opportunity. And that's what's going to come out of the Trump trial, I think, along with the fact that if Trump is convicted of anything before the election, that's going to wipe out all the floating voters and all those who are dithering about whether or not they want to support a convicted felon. Many of them will decide not to, and Biden will breeze back into the White House. I think the assumption that Trump is going to win in November is probably a false assumption. It was credible 1 month ago. See how fast time changes. See how fast things move in this particular world we're living in. This is a world of dynamic change. And as I say, what happens to Trump will have a knock-on effect across the rest of the world, even probably as far as Russia.